down Georgia, Justin Rose. Justin, a home tournament here at Wentworth. Just tell us how you're feeling heading into this one.
Yeah, for me this is always a really special week. I sort of live in the area and I can kind of see the buzz starting to build, weeks in advance. But yeah, also a bit nostalgic. Used to come here as a kid, age 10, 11, 12, watch the great players, of my, the generation I used to look up to, Seve, Feldo, Greg Norman. Used to come watch them play, and always would inspire me to go back and practice and hopefully dream about playing one day. So it's kind of cool to have the opportunity. I think it's my 20th PGA Championship, or BMW PGA Championship this week. So had the opportunity a few times, and still a bucket list tournament for me to try and win.
It's been an incredible season for you. Just at this stage, obviously with a few more big ones to go, how do you assess how it's been this season?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I've had some big moments this year. The Masters was special, but ultimately disappointing. You get so close to a dream, like winning the Masters. It's obviously disappointing to come up so close, but yet short. But then, to win a playoff, to kind of win a playoff event on the PGA Tour, get back in the winner's circle, that was amazing. But if I look at my rankings, fourth in FedEx Cup, back to 12th in the world, yeah. Been a lot of sort of a nice uptick in performance this year. But again, if I'm sort of objective, it hasn't been as consistent as I'd like. So again, looking at next year, there's a few things to still continue to work on, which is great. I love the work side of the game. I still have the passion to try and get better year on year on year. So that'll kind of give me motivation going into next year.
Whenever you're doing well, we always hear like so many of the first questions are, how are you still doing it at this age? Do you get a bit fed up of that, or do you just see it as a compliment?
I see it as a compliment for sure, but I feel like this is the first year I've faced that narrative of, all right, Rosie, you're getting on a bit now. How are you still kind of, managing to stay relevant, I suppose. But it doesn't get any easier, trust me. I feel like I've got to be more and more disciplined year on year. And I think often as you get older, you think, oh, well, you should know the cheat codes of how to sort of perform. But unfortunately, when it comes to a physical sport, you've got to sort of you need access to your game, and that only comes through your body. So you got to stay pretty dedicated from that point of view, which is a shame.
Where do you feel you're at with your game at the moment? How does it compare to previous years? Do you feel like, where does this compare to the golf you played?
I think, yeah, I've had a bit more of a consistent mindset this year in terms of what I've been working on. So, for the last couple of seasons, I've been not chopping and changing, but I have been searching a little bit to try to find the level that I need. This year's been a bit more consistent with the blueprint of what we're working towards, which I think makes it easier for performance, right? Weeks in, weeks out. You're always toggling between your feels, but I feel like I've had a plan, and I think I've done a much better job this year of working hard at home in my off weeks to kind of practice, to be there a lot more prepared at tournaments, whereas I feel like years past I've been trying to get my downtime at home but then really work hard on the road, and that hasn't been a good mix.
Tell me about St Jude. Obviously your first PGA Tour win in, what was it, about 2 years. That playoff with JJ as well was unbelievable drama to watch. How was it to be in, and how did you manage to kind of stay so dialed in and not let up, when the pressure's at the highest?
Yeah, so it is interesting. Obviously I hadn't won for a couple of years, so you think pressure obviously really cranks up, but I've always felt like when I get into the most pressurized situations at the very end of a tournament or down the stretch, I kind of feel like that's where I settle down the most. I feel like I'm at my most nervous sometimes when I'm scrapping for position, or even on the cut line sometimes, because you haven't quite got your game that way you want it, and I find that makes me more anxious. But once you're in a playoff especially, I feel like you're just locked in. It's like me versus him, and it simplifies everything. But it was a very high quality playoff. I mean, JJ was hitting great shots, I was hitting great shots. It was kind of nip and tuck. It could have been anybody's. Much like the Masters with Rory. I hit 2 good shots, he hit 2 good shots. Obviously his ball finished just a little bit closer, he made the birdie, and that was it. That's the thing with sudden death. It's like if you don't hit the right shot at the right time, it's over. And but obviously, yeah, huge thrill for me to get back in the winner's circle, and I was buzzing to kind of feel that emotion again.
Did you get any relief that came with that at all?
Yeah, there's definitely relief. Yeah, because you always, you work hard, you believe you can do it. You have that mindset of, I'm getting closer, I'm gaining on it. But yeah, you ultimately need to see the reward eventually. So yeah, a lot of relief.